Now understand what is given, read the following information carefully and answer the questions which follow. So A into B means A is father of B, and A plus B means A is daughter of B. So understand the meaning of each of the symbols. A division B means A is mother of B. A minus B means A is brother of B. So I'll just put it on the board here so that I don't have to turn the page again and again. A into B. So basically into means father, right? Into means father. A is the father of B. Plus means daughter, right? So into is A is the father of B. A plus B means A is the daughter of B, and A division B. What is division here? Division means mother. A is the mother of B, and the last one minus means brother. A is the brother of B. All right. So these are the meanings, right? Into is father, plus is daughter, division is mother, and minus is brother. So we know the meanings of each of the symbols. Let's now look at the solutions or the questions there. Now question number 3. If P division R minus Q into T, how is P related to T? So there's an equation given. You need to identify what is the relation between P and T in the given equation. Now let me just put the equation first. So question number 3 says P division R minus Q into T. We have to identify how is P related to T. What is the relationship between P and T? Now, what's the ideal way of getting the answer? Draw a family tree, a family chart for this one, right? You know how to draw family chart. Use arrows, a double-headed arrow for husband and wife, and gender representation using symbols. Do all that, and you'll get the family tree, which will be helping you to get the right answer. But then, if you look at the options here, grandmother, mother-in-law, sister, grandfather, none of this. Though the correct method of answering this will be to draw a family tree, I like to go by gender and generation gap. I'll just give you an idea. It will not be giving you the final answer, but it will certainly give you a good idea. What is that? Gender and generation gap. We are required to find out the relationship between P and T. What's the relationship between P and T? Now, those who all have watched the blood relations video, they will be very well aware of this. So, as we all know that you need to watch the video before you join the session, let me directly solve the question. So what do we focus on? We'll focus on two things. One is the gender of these two persons, or one of them, which is P, and the generation gap between these two persons. Now, P division R. What is meant by division? Mother. That means P is the mother of R. If P is the mother of R, can you say P is a female person? See, again, don't get offended. General representation I am taking up. You can take plus also there. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, right? So P division R means P is the mother of R. So gender, female, right? If P is the mother of R, what's the generation gap between P and R? 1. P is 1 generation above R, so generation gap is 1. R minus Q. Minus means what? Brother. R is the brother of Q. I am not worried about the gender of R and Q because I want gender of P and T, or at least P there. So I am not worried about gender. I will not work on that. I will only work on generation gap. R minus Q. Minus means brother. If R and Q are brothers, what is the generation gap? 0. They are in the same generation. Q into T. Into means what? Father. Q is the father of T. Forget about the gender. What's the generation gap? 1. Generation gap here is 1 because Q is the father of T. Now, if you try to observe, the overall generation gap between P and T is how much? 1 plus 0 plus 1. Yes or no? 1 plus 0 plus 1. How much? 2. Now understand. P is a female person. We know the gender. And the gap between P and T is 2 generations. Now, how is P related to T? You very well understand that P is 2 generations above. If I am T, P will be 2 generations above and female. Try to look at the options. Grandmother possible because grandmother is 2 generations above, and female. Possible answer. Mother-in-law impossible because mother-in-law is only 1 generation above. Right? The generation gap is only 1. Sister not possible because between sister the generation gap will be 0. Grandfather not possible. Grandfather, understand. Grandfather the gap is 2, but grandfather is not possible because here we know that P is a female person. So clearly, without drawing the family tree, I know that second option, third option, and fourth option are ruled out. Right? Answer should either be first option grandmother or fifth option none of them. Now this will be really helpful when fifth option is also given as some relationship, uncle or aunt. I can kill that option and I can say that answer is grandmother. But here, because it is none of this, you have to verify it once. But then, let's say you are solving this question in the last 30 seconds. Last 30 seconds, paper will be snatched anytime. or that window will get closed. In that case, what do? Don't do the drama of drawing the family tree. Check this and mark the answer. Take a risk, take chance. Grandmother is probable answer. I mean 50-50, or I can say more than 50% chances. But then you never know, because 2 generation above and female can be grand aunt also. Even that is possible. Or grandmother-in-law, even that is possible, right? If the question is really complicated, it can be grandmother-in-law also. So be careful. If you are ready to take a chance, mark first option as grandmother. You should take that decision. I can't tell anything, right? If you say no, I don't want to take any risk, then don't do all this. Directly draw the family tree and get done. How do you draw the family tree? P division R. So P is the mother of R. So mother of R. That means this is how you represent R minus Q. R is the brother of Q. So male and brother of Q, right? And here it is mother. Then Q into T. Q is the father of T. Are you able to follow? Q into T means Q is the father of T. Q is the father of T means T will come here. Now what is the generation between P? Look at this. These two are siblings. R and Q are siblings, brothers. That means R's mother will be Q's mother. So P's son. If P is the mother, Q is the son. P's son's child. Male or female is not known, but P's son's child. Or I can say P's father's mother. Actually, that's the right way to do it, right? P's father's mother. Your father's mother is your grandmother. Answer is option 1, grandmother, right? But then not really required. I mean, you can just avoid this. You decide. If you are ready to take a chance, don't do all that, right? So answer for question number 3 will be option 1, grandmother. Let's look at question number 2. So P division Q plus R into T, right? How is T related to Q? Now you have to be careful. Understand. How is T related to Q? In the previous question also, how is P related to 2 is different from how is T related to P. If P is the grandmother, T will be the grandchild. So read it properly. Is it P to Q or Q to P? Fine. Okay. So I think first, third one is clear. Let's look at fourth one now. So P division Q plus R into T. How is T related to Q? How is T related to Q? We have to establish the relationship from T to Q. Now, because it is from T to Q, I can forget about P, right? This is important, right? I want the relationship from T to Q or Q to T. The connection is from Q to T. Why do I worry about P and Q's relation? Because that's outside my consideration. So even if you're drawing family tree, don't draw P division Q and waste your time. Now you may ask me how much time does it take? It will not take more than 3 seconds. You can draw the relationship between P and Q in 3 seconds. But 3 seconds is valuable, yeah. I mean, you can't waste 3 seconds for doing something which is not required, right? So be careful with such kind of aspects here when you're solving questions from blood relation. Sometimes what happens, the lengthy equation is given with 7 variables, but the relationship is asked between third and the fifth one. Why do you draw all the 7 variables? They only take third, fourth, and fifth and connect. That's it, right? It may be required to decide the gender. That's a different story, but as such, don't worry about that. Now Q plus R into T. Q plus R into T, right? How is T related to Q? Let's look at the gender and generation gap concept, right? Q plus R. What is plus? Plus means what? Daughter. Daughter means what? Minus 1. Q is the daughter of R, female. Q is the daughter of R. Again, minus 1. Why are you taking minus 1? Understand. You have to follow a proper direction. If it is mother plus 1, if it is daughter, take minus 1. Generation gap is 1 only. Actually, it is 1. Magnitude is important, but even the sign is important. Not just the magnitude, the sign is also important. If it is father, I'll take plus 1. If it is grandfather, I'll take plus 2. But if it is grandchild, then I'll take minus 2. So we have to be careful with the generation gap there, plus or minus. So Q is the daughter of R. That means generation gap is minus 1. R into T. R into T means what? R is the father of T. R is the father of T. Are you able to follow? R is the father of T. Father of T means what? Generation gap 1. Q plus R. Plus his daughter, so minus 1, into his father, so plus 1. What's the total generation gap between Q and T? 0. Because minus 1 and plus 1 gets cancelled. So Q and T will be in the same generation. Q and T are going to be in the same generation. Now look at the answer options. Is aunt possible? Not possible, because aunt means 1 generation above. Sister, possible. Grandson, impossible, because grandson, the generation gap is 2. We want the gap to be 0. Fourth option, brother is also possible. Sister is possible, brother is also possible. Fifth option, none of this. Now again, there's one more point which you have discussed in the video. If you have gone through the blood relations video, you will know that most of the time, when there is a person at the end, finding out the gender is not really easy. You cannot decide the gender. If you look at it, R into T means what? R is the father of T. R is the father of T. If R is the father of T, T is what of R? R is the father of T. So T is the Don't say son of R. T can be son or daughter. Both are possible, right? So the point here is we have no idea about what is the gender of T. Gender of T cannot be decided here, or we have no idea about the gender of T. Now, what is the question? How is T related to Q? Obviously, T will be the sibling of Q, because it's like Q is the daughter of R is the father of. So this is like Q and T will become siblings. But is T the brother of Q or sister of Q is not known to us, because the gender is not known. If T is male, T will be the brother of Q. If T is female, T will be the sister of Q. Understand, read the question properly. If the question says how is Q related to T, how is Q related to T? Q is a sister of T, no doubt, because gender is known. But here the question says how is T related to T, and it is not necessary that if Q is the sister of T, T should be the brother of Q. Some people do this also. They'll mark brother as an answer. Do not do that, right? It can be brother or sister. Both are possible. Hence, the answer will be option 5, none of these. You cannot go for brother or sister. I mean, you cannot go for option 2 or option 4. Answer, strictly speaking, the answer should be sibling, brother or sister. Or you can say the answer is insufficient data. It cannot be determined. Right? So we can say fifth option is the correct answer. Alright. Let's now look at the fifth one. Which of the following means R is the wife of P? Now, in these kind of questions, actually the gender and generation gap is important, right? For the first two questions, in fact, as I said, you have to go for family tree only. Here it is where you will be finding gender and generation gap useful, because for every question there are 5 equations. You can't be drawing family tree for each of the 5 equations. It takes a lot of time. So first, rule out the wrong answer option, right? So what do we want? R is the wife of P. What do you mean by R is the wife of P? I mean, what do you understand from that? R should be the wife of P. That means what? Female and male. I mean, obvious. R is the wife of P means P is the husband of R, right? And what is the generation gap? Genders you have got to know. Female and male. Generation gap. How much is the generation gap between R and P? 0. Husband and wife, right? That's a couple, married couple, right? A pair. So generation gap will be 0. Okay, so gap has to be 0. Keep these two things in mind. The correct answer should have R's gender as female, and between R and P, the gap should be 0. The generation gap should be 0. Let's look at the answer options, right? I'll put down the options here because I'll have to show you how to work out. Now look at the options. First option, P into Q, sorry, P into R minus Q minus P. Second one, P division P plus R minus Q. Third option, P division R minus Q plus P. Fourth option, P into T minus Q plus R. Fifth option, none. All right, P into R minus Q minus T, P division R, P division T plus R minus Q, P division R minus Q plus T, P into T minus Q plus R. Now, R should be the wife of P. Now, these are the meanings. R should be the wife of P into R. Into means what? Understand, here P and R are together. P and R are together. And into means what? Into means, where is into? Into means father. P is the father of R. So, first option is ruled out directly, because P is the father of R means R will be the child of P. Not possible. So first option is ruled out. So don't draw family tree. Verify this way first. Now, we want to connect R with P. Q can be cancelled directly. That's what I told you in the previous question also. Only concentrate on what is required. So we'll forget about Q. P to R. Now P division. Division means what? Mother. Generation gap is 1. Plus means what? Plus means what? Daughter. What is the generation gap? -1. So +1 and -1. What is the overall generation gap? 0. Generation gap is satisfied. I want R to be a female person, or P has to be a male person. Now look at this. Division. Division means mother. P is the mother means what? P is female. The moment I know that, in fact, this is also not required. Generation gap is not required. The moment we know that P is female, can I cancel this answer option? Yes. Why? P has to be male. R is a wife means what? R is female, P is male. Here P is female, P is a mother. So cancel. Look at next option. P division R. Division means what? Mother. P is the mother means P is female. Here itself I'll say is not the answer. I'll not even worry about the remaining part, because P is female. There itself it is violating that. Now answer should either be fourth option or fifth option. Let's look at fourth option. P to R. Everything has to be connected. P into T. Into father. So gender is satisfied. Now P into T. Into is father. So what's the generation gap? 1. Minus. Minus means what? Brother. Generation gap 0. Plus. Plus means what? Daughter. Generation gap -1. Now if you look at the condition here, if P is male, that condition is satisfied. Generation gap 1 plus 0 minus 1. What's the overall generation gap? Plus 1 minus 1 gets cancelled, 0. So even the generation gap is 0 total generation. So conditions are satisfied. Gender of R is not known to us. Q plus R. Plus means what? Q is the daughter of R. Now Q is the daughter of R means Q is female, but R's gender is not known. But still, maybe if you draw the family tree, this may satisfy because P's gender is satisfied, generation gap is satisfied. So what we'll do here in such cases, we'll not draw the family tree for this kind of option. We'll draw the family tree only for this. If satisfied, this is the answer. Otherwise, it's not. Draw it P into T. P is the father. So P is the father of T. T minus Q. Minus Q means T is the brother of Q. Right. So these are siblings. And Q plus R. Q is the daughter of R. Q is the daughter of R means what? Q is female R. Now if these are siblings, T's father will be Q's father and Q's mother. So Q's father, Q's mother. Obviously this will be female. So no, already father is there means this should be mother. Father is not father. So this should be a husband and wife couple. So can I say P is the husband of R or R is the wife of P here? Yes. The answer for this question will be R minus P division J into Q, right? R minus P division J into Q. How is J related to R? J related to, and you don't have to write all these steps. Don't do this drama in the exam. J related to R. I am writing so that I can explain. You don't write all this. So simply copy the equation in the paper and work out. So R minus P division J into Q, right? How is J related to R? Forget about Q. Q is not required. We want the relationship between J and R. Minus means what? Brother, 0. Division means what? Mother, so 1. That means between J and R, the generation gap has to be 1. If you look at the options, son and daughter possible, nephew is possible, niece is possible, grandson is not possible. Fourth option is ruled out, fifth option, none of this may be possible. So there are first option, second option, third option, all are possible. Now, R minus P. R minus P means what? R is the brother of P. So R is a male person. P division J. P division J means P is the mother. So female person. But J's gender is still not known. And understand the question is how is J related to R? Right? So J's gender is actually required. Now J into Q. Now here maybe this will be useful. J into Q means what? J is father of Q. J is father of Q means gender is male. So into here as such for the deciding the relationship is not required, but for gender it is definitely useful. Now if you understand, even without drawing family tree, what happens? R is the brother of P, minus means brother, R is the brother of P, and P is the mother of J. So if you really look at it, J's mother, mother's brother, J's mother, mother's brother is uncle. So R is the uncle. If R is the uncle, J will be nephew or niece. Why is it nephew? Because it is plus here. Plus means male. You know, nephew is a male child. So I can say J is the nephew of R because R's sister's son. Sister's son is nephew. How do we know son? Because gender is male with respect to Q, right? So sister's son is nephew. So the answer for this question has to be option 2, nephew. It cannot be son or daughter, right? So nephew is the answer. And then seventh one, P plus Q. Right? So if you observe, actually drawing family tree is not required every time. Then P plus Q minus R division T into Q. How is P? I think there is something wrong here. P plus Q minus R division T into Q. How is P related to P? Fine. So let's not worry about this part. Let's see how is P related to P. Okay, P plus Q. How is P related to P? P plus Q. P plus Q means what? Daughter. So 0. Q minus R. Sorry, daughter is what? Minus 1. P plus Q minus 1 minus R is brother. So 0. And division is what? Mother. So 1. So between P, okay, and we are required to find out the relationship between T to P. So T to P, right? Between these two persons, P and P. So plus is minus 1, minus is 0 because it is brother, division is plus 1 because it is mother. So overall, what is the generation gap? 0. Minus 1 and plus 1 gets cancelled, right? So between T and P, the relationship will be, it cannot be aunt or uncle because total generation gap is 0 there, right? So first option aunt is ruled out. Second option aunt or uncle is also ruled out. Third option father is ruled out. Fourth option grandmother is ruled out. So answer has to be fifth option, none of this. Let's check seventh question. Seventh question answer is fifth option. Now see how easy it is, right? I think important for Nitin. I was surprised when you said this is lengthy. Is it really lengthy? Just by focusing on the generation gap there, I'm able to see that first, second, third, fourth are wrong. Fifth option is the answer. So we are not finding out what is the relationship. We are finding out what is not the relationship. I know that aunt is not the relationship. I know that uncle or aunt is not the relationship. I know that father cannot be the answer, and I know that grandmother cannot be the answer, because between P and T, the gap has to be zero. Generation gap has to be zero. Here, in each case, the generation gap is not zero. It is 1 or 2 and so on, right? So seventh question, fifth option, none of this is the correct answer. Now, don't draw the diagram and try to decide the relationship. That's not going to get you more marks. Anyway, the answer is fifth option, right?